that the records show what councillors are present for a public hearing. And for the purposes of those who don't already know, and most in this room do, if a councillor is absent from a public hearing, then the councillor is not able to debate or discuss the motion when it comes to the table with respect to approval or otherwise of the project in question. So for the purposes of the record, therefore, would you please indicate your presence now? And the pause between questions like that is an electronic recording situation. And so therefore let the record show that all councillors are present with the exception of Councillor Killam, who is absent on medical leave. Thank you. So I will declare the public hearing to be open for this September the 5th, 2023. It's presently 6 p.m. This is an application to there's only one matter before us today, which is an application to rezone a property on Prospect Road in New Minas. Yes, I saw Ms. Mosher there, and I thought she was going to take us, but you're going to take us through this process this evening, are you? Okay, then the floor is yours when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have an application for a land use bylaw map amendment to rezone the property located at 5352 Prospect Road, New Minas. The red circle on the map shows the location of the subject property in New Minas. So to provide with the background, in November 2005, a DA was registered on the subject property. This DA enabled the previous property owner to develop an auto repair shop on the property, and the shop was supposed to be located on the building marked as existing garage on the site plan. Over here. And the development envelope applied to only this part of the property, which has been marked here. So the previous property owner, however, did not proceed with the development of the auto repair shop. And the new owner, the applicant, purchased this property in 2022. The property still has two existing structures, the residential dwelling and the garage. So the applicant would now like to repurpose the garage and convert it into a dwelling. This will include 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and additional living spaces. And in order to do that, the existing DA will have to be discharged, and the property will have to be rezoned to C3, which is mixed commercial residential zone. And the rezoning is necessary because the property is currently located in the C5 highway commercial zone, and C5 zone does not permit any residential uses as of right. So this here is the aerial view showing the property boundary. The property is located within the New Minas Growth Center. It has a lot area of 4.12 acres and a road frontage of 440 feet. The access to the property is from Prospect Road from over here. And these are the existing structures on the property, the existing dwelling and the garage. So the buildings sit on a relatively flat surface on the property, but if we take the entire site into consideration, it has a gradual slope towards this direction, which is the northwest direction. And there are 2 residential dwellings on either side of the property, over here and one over here. And the rear end of the property is heavily vegetated. So as I mentioned earlier, the site is located in the C5 highway commercial zone. So the C5 zone usually permits commercial uses that usually serve the traveling public, and also commercial uses that are not usually desired within the main commercial areas, main street commercial areas, and also commercial uses that would benefit from high traffic volumes. This map shows the future land use of the property. The property is expected to continue to be in the commercial designation in the future as well. So these are some of the photographs of the property. And on top here is a key map for reference with the spots marked on it. So the image to the left shows the access to the property from Prospect Road. And the image to the right shows the existing garage, and right next to it is the existing dwelling. Again, these are the images of the neighboring residential dwellings on either side of the property. And these are the images of the rear end of the property. As you can see, it is heavily vegetated. So a public information meeting was held by the previous planner on the 21st of February 2023. 12 letters were sent to property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, and no questions or concerns were recorded on file by the previous planner. So this here is a policy from the municipal planning strategy that enables this rezoning. According to this policy, council shall consider amendments to zoning maps provided it is to rezone land to another zone enabled within the same designation. So the proposal here is to rezone the subject property from highway commercial zone C5 to mixed commercial residential zone C3, which is within the same designation. So the proposal complies with this particular policy. And policy 5.3.5 states, consider in relation to all applications to rezone land, A, the applicable zone placement policies, including any specific policy criteria for applying the proposed zone set out within this strategy, B, the impact of both the specific development proposal and of other possible uses permitted in the proposed zone. So the proposed C3 zone usually permits all forms of residential uses, even multi-unit dwellings containing up to 16 dwellings. It also permits other lower impact commercial uses that we usually see near residential uses like retail stores, restaurants, businesses, medical clinics, and a few other uses. And the highway commercial zone, which is the current zoning of the property, permits uses like automotive repair shops, sales, heavy equipments, and other uses that might have far greater impacts than the proposed development. So staff believe that the proposal would be appropriate in terms of these policies. And this here is the intent of the C3 zone. C3 zone is intended to complement established commercial areas, and it is generally located on main transportation corridors or associated side streets that have commercial development, or main street areas within commercial areas that have not yet experienced much development, or areas where flexibility between residential and commercial uses are desired. So the intent is to permit both residential and lower impact commercial uses within the growth centers. So the subject property is located in an area that is designated for commercial development, but it has not experienced much commercial development yet. The area is primarily developed with residential uses, and the property is close to various commercial establishments further down Prospect Road, and it is also close to the new Minas commercial street. The Highway 101, which is a main transportation corridor, is less than 1 kilometer from the property. So considering all this, staff believe that the development would complement the established commercial areas, and the development would also be consistent with the intent of the zone and the intent of the MPS. These are some of the other principles and visions from the MPS. So under the vision on settlement, one of the settlement priorities is to enable and encourage a diversity of housing throughout the region. And the property is also located within the New Minas Growth Center. And under the secondary plan for New Minas, the guiding principle, a place for people, one of the key directions states, enable diverse housing options that cater to a variety of household sizes and compositions, life stages, physical needs, and economic needs. So the housing proposed on the property will be for housing foreign laborers who work for the applicant. And the proposal would be consistent with promoting a variety of housing needs within the community. The proposal was also assessed against the various criteria listed under the General Policies 5.3.7 of the MPS, and the proposal was found to be consistent with the intent of the MPS. No financial impact on the municipality is expected from the proposal. The development would be compatible with the surrounding land uses, which are mostly residential at this point. And the property is also within proximity to schools, recreation, and other community facilities. The Department of Public Works has also confirmed the adequacy of road networks and did not indicate any concerns. So regarding the fire services, during the PAC, Councillor Killam had a question regarding the fire district, and I had mentioned that the property was within the Kentwell Fire District. I apologize for the mistake. It actually falls within the New Minas Fire District, and we have checked with them regarding the adequacy of fire services as well. And the water and sewer services, this was found to be adequate as well. The site is also suitable in terms of grade, soils, geological conditions, and utility right-of-ways. So as mentioned earlier, the PIM was done by the previous planner on the 21st of February 2023, and AAC was not required for this application. The application was presented to PAC on 14 June 2023, and the first reading happened on July 4, 2023. Public hearing ads were advertised on 22nd and 29th of August, and letters were also sent out to property owners within 500 feet. And with that, I end my presentation, and I pass it back to Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Jacob. Does anyone have any questions of clarification of Ms. Jacob on her presentation? Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a rezoning. So rezoning it to C3, at some point in the future, would this landowner have the ability to add other housing as long as they met any applicable setbacks?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as long as it's a C3 zone, the applicant would be able to add more dwellings. It is an application for a group dwelling, to enable group dwellings on the property. Mm-hmm. So C5 currently does not allow any residential uses, and rezoning it to C3 would allow for residential uses, which allows for like group dwellings, multi-unit dwellings, and other 1-unit and 2-unit dwellings. So they would be able to add more if they, as long as they maintain the setbacks and the other requirements of the zone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of clarification? I see none. Thank you, Ms. Jacob. Any member of the public wish to comment on this application? This is your opportunity if you wish to do so. It's not compulsory. You'd have to come to the mic to speak, sir.
And that's the applicant.
The applicant can certainly present if you wish. It's not compulsory, but you may.
I came a little bit early.
Late?
Late, yeah, and I don't know what's happened. And my English is not very well.
All right, perhaps you would come up here to the mic, would you?
Everything is good. No problem. Thank you.
I expect Ms. Mosher told you exactly what I was going to tell you, sir. Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to comment? There are no comments from the public, and the presentation having been made, and it's been indicated by Ms. Jacobs that there have been no objections throughout the process, then for the purposes of this public hearing, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We will be dealing with the matter at the council meeting, which is going to begin very soon, sir. All right, the public hearing is hereby declared adjourned, and we are moving directly into council. Again, thank you, Ms. Jacob, for your presentation. Now, again, I'm sorry to be repetitious, but for the purposes of the council meeting itself, if councilors could please indicate their attendance when you have that opportunity. Roll call. Record indicates that all councillors are present, with the exception of Councillor Killam, who is absent on medical leave. So we'll call the Municipal Council meeting for September the 1st, 2023 to order. We've had roll call, and now we'll move to item 2, which is approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Allen. Any discussion on the motion? Any errors in the agenda? Any omissions? If not, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. Or sometime soon. Madam Clerk has her light on here. Just, did you want me to respond to that, Madam Clerk? I haven't been looking at my board, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hesitated to put the motion up for voting because we do have an addition to the agenda that we would like Council to consider, at least, to add it to the agenda tonight.
Yes, my fault. I apologize. As a last minute item, and I'm sure, well, perhaps there would be objection, but we intended to add under 7 administration an item B, which has to do with the issue of a West Kings sidewalk. So with that addition, do the mover and seconder agree? Thank you. Can we now move to the vote to approve the motion, please? Councillor Armstrong voting in favor? Yes, thank you. That's unanimous. Well, I did digress. Yeah. We're a little unpolished this evening, having been away for so long from the table. Once again, for the information of the public, once an agenda has been approved and nothing's been added or deleted, or if something has been added or deleted, everyone knows at the table what the agenda contains. Now is their opportunity as individual councillors to determine whether they have a conflict of interest with regard to any item on the agenda, and we choose to disclose that conflict of interest at the beginning of the meeting so that we're ready for it when it comes up. Does any councillor have a conflict of interest on any item contained within the approved agenda? Seeing none, then we'll proceed with the item 4. We're dealing with the issue of whether or not to approve the minutes of August 15th, 2023 Special Council. Could I have a motion to approve? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. And while we're waiting for the results of that vote, you can consider whether there is any business arising from the minutes that we've just approved unanimously. Is there any business arising? Seeing none, we'll move to item 6, Planning Advisory Committee recommendations, and I'll move to the Chair of Planning Advisory Committee, Councillor Armstrong, to take us through those. Councillor Armstrong, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item this evening is that Municipal Council appoint Kimberly Cogswell to fill a vacancy on the Port Williams Area Advisory Committee for the remainder of a one-year term ending February 28th, 2024. I so move.
Seconder, Councillor Allen. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That's unanimously approved. Thank you. Item B.
That Municipal Council give second reading to the application to rezone 5352 Prospect Road, PID 55199-137 New Minas, from the Highway Commercial C5 zone to the Mixed Commercial C3 zone as described in Appendix B of the report dated June 14, 2023. I so move.
And seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion on that motion? That's the motion concerning the public hearing that we've just had. I see no discussion. I'm calling the question. All those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. The motion's unanimously approved. And for the purposes of the applicant's information, Ms. Mosier will, or Ms. Jacob will advise you regarding the advertising periods and what that involves. Other than that, you're free to leave if you wish, or sit here for the next 2 hours with us. Thank you for your attendance. Item C, application to enter into a development agreement.
That Municipal Council give initial consideration to and hold a public hearing regarding entering into a development agreement to permit the replacement of a non-conforming dwelling with a one-unit dwelling at 40 Rogers Lane, PID 55177-125 Aylesford Lake, which is substantively the same for minor differences in form as the draft set out in Appendix D of the report dated August 8, 2023. I so move.
And if I might suggest, that might be Rogers Lane, is it? So it's with that amendment. We have a motion, a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That's unanimously approved. Item D, please.
The Municipal Council give initial consideration to and hold a public hearing regarding entering into a development agreement to permit the existing tourist cabins at 3278 and 3280 Long Point Road in Harbourville, which is substantively the same for minor differences in form as draft set out in Appendix D of the report dated August 8, 2023. I so move.
And a seconder. Councillor Davis. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise of the motion, please vote now. That's unanimously approved. Item E, please.
The Municipal Council discharged the existing development agreement dated February 10, 2011, and give initial consideration to and hold a public hearing regarding entering into a development agreement to permit an expansion to the fish farm at 1165 Black River Road, which is substantively the same for minor differences in form as the draft set out in Appendix C of the report dated August 8, 2023. I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Allen. Discussion on the motion, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I just have a question, if that's okay.
Certainly.
Yeah, I was initially hesitant about this one because I know that the Lake Monitoring Committee has had some discussion on the lake here. So I'm curious what the relationship between the Lake Monitoring Committee research and this proposal was, if there was consideration of the historical lake water quality and how that played into the decision to make a positive recommendation.
Ms. Mosher.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor. So the Lake Monitoring Program is a policy development tool. It's not a policy application tool. So we used it to develop the policies, which we then apply to this application. But in terms of going back and looking at the historic water quality, that's not something that's directed in the policy, so that's not necessarily something we do. I would just indicate that the expansion that they're currently considering is actually enabled under their old development agreement, but the old development agreement is quite frankly, well, it's not within our current policy framework, I'll just put it that way. So we feel like this gives them a bit more flexibility to work within their current licensing that they have through provincial bodies without us standing in the way of their operations while still protecting the environmental considerations that fall under, sorry, ran out of breath, under provincial jurisdiction.
Okay. And general sense of community reception to the proposal?
We've not had any feedback.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll just note that I'm supportive of the proposal.
Thank you. If you just stay with us for just one moment as a follow-up to that, and other councillors are welcome to ask for further clarification. My reading of the material indicated to me that part of the project is a more sophisticated water filtration system. Am I accurate in that? Or?
That is accurate. Okay. That again would have been permitted under the old development agreement. This came, I'll give you a little trailer to the public hearing presentation. So they've applied because they, earlier in the year, maybe last year, I think, last year they applied to install a new oxygenator. Their former site plan, or the site plan under the existing development agreement, is very, very prescriptive, and it didn't allow a whole lot of flexibility for a change in their operations. So we weren't able to permit the oxygenator in the location that they had preferred as a result of the development agreement. So we suggested to them that for future expansion, given that their plans have changed over time and the nature of the expansions have changed over time, that we ensure that they have a somewhat more flexible development agreement, still operating within the same development envelope, but without limiting where they can put the different components of their fish farm within that envelope. And so this development agreement is intended to make future expansion a lot easier for them, but part of the expansion that they are doing is to incorporate higher technology in terms of water flow and filtering and overall health to the water and the fish.
And the applicant is, again, as I read the materials, is Nova Scotia Power.
The landowner is Nova Scotia Power. They lease the land to the fish farm. So the applicant is the fish farm, the landowner is Nova Scotia Power.
All right, thanks for that clarification. If you just stand by, we have a couple of questions arising from the questions. Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You got my question. I just wanted to ask about Nova Scotia Power's involvement and how that worked. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just one more follow-up. So it's S1, right? Lakeshore S1, and not normally permitted, but are permitted under a DA in terms of fish farms. Could another company or fish farm be developed at Black River Lake using a DA?
So this one is being considered because they already exist. It would be difficult to develop a second one under our current policy framework.
Right, okay. And like similarly to other lakes might be the same idea. Okay. Appreciate that answer. Thank you.
And last comment from me, Ms. Mosier, this is a land-based fish farm.
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
They draw water from the lake and it runs through their system. So they hatch fish from egg to, I don't know exactly how big, but not full size.
Juveniles.
I'm sorry?
Juveniles.
Yes, juvenile salmon. And then once they reach, so they start as eggs and they travel through the system along with the water as they grow. So as they grow, they move to different tanks. Not unlike kids going back to school, for example. They graduate to the next class and then they hit the end of the line and then they graduate to the ocean-based fish farm.
Thank you. I have no other questions on the board. Thanks for your clarification. And thanks for that image of my children going through school. No other questions. Do we have a motion on the floor now that I've gone through all that? Thank you. All those in favor or otherwise of the motion, please vote now. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item F, please.
The Municipal Council give first reading to and hold a public hearing regarding amendments to the land use bylaw to permit the development of accessory dwellings in growth centers, which are substantively the same for minor differences in form as the draft set out in Appendix C of the report dated August 8th, 2023. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder for the motion. Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Matart. I would just say I support this this motion, and I think it's one of a number of different things that we can be party to when it comes to addressing the shortage of housing in our municipality. It's not going to be the silver key, but it is a first step, and so I'm hopeful that we'll see more motions like this that address our land use bylaw and that we can find areas within it to make small modifications like this to be able to allow growth in housing. And I did want to note too, I was reading an interesting article the other day about sort of supply and demand, and that we do need more housing stock, but it's not necessarily the sole solution to the problem, and part of it is affordability, and that you don't solve the housing crisis necessarily by always adding more dwellings. And so I think that there's things we can do as a municipality, which is stuff within our land use bylaw to enable more building of housing, doing it in a controlled way, protecting our cultural land. But at the same time, I don't think we can forget the other half of that equation, which is our advocacy role in terms of putting pressure on the province for affordability and social programs and community development that will help people actually be able to afford the homes once they arrive, because the gap is getting larger between people being able to afford a home and those who cannot. So I just wanted to put that out there as it relates to this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions of debate? I hesitate to call Ms. Mosier back, but I'm wondering whether and to what extent, if any, the growth centers themselves have been notified or consulted regarding this.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they have not. We can certainly inform all of the village clerks of the public hearing, but in terms of growth centers that do not have village clerks, we could explore other options.
All right, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'm calling the question. All those in favor or otherwise of the motion, please vote now. That's unanimously passed. Thank you. So that's in the form of an advanced motion of a matter that will come back to us, and I think it is, to my earlier point, important that that the growth centers have the ability to give us input regarding that particular matter before we come to a final vote on it after a public hearing. Are those all the matters that you have, Councillor Armstrong?
Just to let people know that the next public hearing date will be Tuesday, October 3rd, 6 p.m. in these chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to item 7, administration. 7A is a proclamation request regarding Right to Know Week, suggested to be September the 5th to October the 1st, and Madam Clerk might have some comment regarding that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just that this is a request that we've been receiving since 2017 from the Information and Privacy Commissioner for Nova Scotia. And so we've had this proclamation since 2017. And so the recommendation is that Municipal Council proclaim September 25th to October 1st, 2023 to be Right to Know Week in the municipality of the County of Kings.
Thank you. Someone prepared to move the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Hurdle, seconded by Councillor Allen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That's unanimously passed. Thank you. The next item is the added item, which is West Kings Sidewalk, and I see Mr. Omar going to the station, so perhaps you're going to present on that, are you, Mr. Omar?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. This presentation for request to award the West King High School sidewalk contract. To give you a background, the contract is to construct a new concrete sidewalk about 600 meters from West King High School to Morden Road. This sidewalk will connect with the municipality paved shoulder project running from Morden to Aylesford Road, about 5.3 kilometers along Trunk 1. This new sidewalk will provide a safe area for pedestrians traveling between West King High School and nearby amenities and businesses. We received for this contract 2 bids on August 24th. The first bid came from Dexter Construction, and the value was $1,572,992.67. The second bid came from Gary Barker Excavating with value of $1,538,309.33. The project has gone through a delay to start the construction, and the part of it was the delivery to get the permit to work in the right-of-way of Nova Scotia Department of Public Works. And now, like in terms of the funding for this project, will came from the approved budget 23-24 from GL 21-3-372-101. The total approved construction budget $1,724,661.72. Therefore, we are within the approved budget. This is came to the recommendation and as shown in the screen. And thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Deputy Mayor has a question.
Thank you. Was there any other funding sources received for this sidewalk? I can't remember. I feel like there was a couple projects that received provincial funding through active transportation, or is this fully being funded from the municipality?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Deputy Mayor, yes, this one will be funding from our budget.
Our budget, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Hurtle has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, can you remind us how many meters this is covering of sidewalk?
600 meters, was it?
Hmm?
How long is the sidewalk? 600 meters?
Yeah, 600 meter, the total length of this sidewalk, but has another project. This one is paved shoulder, and this work the province do with municipality, paved shoulder from Aylesford Road to Morden Road, and this the 600 meter will connect with this paved shoulder to the West King High School.
Okay, thank you. Does that respond, Councillor?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Armstrong?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi. This does include a lighted crosswalk, does it not, at the, where the sidewalk ends at Morden Road?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Armstrong, yes, it include signal and include two, like at the crosswalk.
Okay. And do we have any idea of when this might be started? Are we going to be, if the award goes through tonight, as I hope it will this be started this fall?
Through you, Mayor Mutar, to you, Councillor Armstrong, yes. Like this is a plan to start the construction as soon as the approval get, and we set as well plan to be constructed before the spring come.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the questions, Mr. Omer. Thank you. You're moving the motion. The motion is that Municipal Council award contract 23-33 West Kings High School sidewalk to Gary Parker Excavation Limited for the total price of $1,538,309.33, including non-rebated HST. It was moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Questions or debate? Deputy Mayor Lutz.
Just a brief note, where this wasn't on our agenda this evening, will there be a RFD added? I want to say posthumously, but you know what I mean, after it's already been posted? Will we, because I know it'll be on the agenda that we'll post, the discussion will be part of it, but will there be a written insert into our agenda package in the minutes that describes the discussion this evening? Because and I asked particularly on this one because I know there's been a few people following it who may have listened in tonight had they known it was going to be on the agenda, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want them to be able to access the information via an RFD in the agenda package that's posted.
If you so request, you are the Deputy Mayor after all, and we'll see that takes place.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Did we vote on this, Madam Clerk? No. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That would be unanimous if the mayor had voted in favor, and he now does. So I wanted to see where everybody was going, obviously, beforehand. My apologies. Financial services, item 8. I'm sorry, Councillor Hurtle, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I kind of held off this question, but it's related to this kind of contract that we just voted on. It's $2,500 a meter for this sidewalk, and I kind of brought this up during one of the NSFM CERMGAR presentations, talking to the Deputy Minister for Public Works, and I didn't get an answer there. It was running late in the meeting, but I'm wondering, we're seeing a drastic increase in price of asphalt and the cost to lay down roads. Is there anything being done to improve the competitiveness for these kind of contracts? We only saw 2 bids, and they're substantial. Is there any way we can reach out to the province or advocate to look for more competition in this market, or invite competition to the market through advocacy of certain policies? Because right now the cost of roads and sidewalks is through the roof, and I'd like to see something change in this industry where the cost is just astronomical.
Thank you, Councillor. Those are certainly valid comments, something that we could explore. My initial off-the-shoulder view on the matter is that you have to be of substantial size and very well equipped with the necessary equipment and so on. It's certainly a pretty well-known fact that the big player in the game as far as provincial roads is concerned is Dexter Construction, and they seems to have been successful in acquiring most of the smaller competition. And we appear to have been fortunate in this particular motion that we've attracted another bid from a local company who has the capacity to do it. But the issue that you raise is valid, and we'll see what we can do by inquiry of Mr. Laflèche and others, whom I'm sure would be delighted to respond to the question. Thank you. We're going now to Financial Services, Item 8, Amendments to Policy FIN 05-007, Fire and Recreation Rates. You've had an opportunity to review the report in your agenda. The suggested motion or recommendation is that Municipal Council adopt amendments to Policy FIN 05-007, Fire and Recreation Rates, as attached to the September 5th, 2023 Council agenda. Do I have a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion on the motion? I did notice there's a small bit of wording. It's just grammar that perhaps needs some attention in the materials themselves. But the motion remains valid. I see no discussion. All those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That's unanimously approved. Thank you. Financial Services, Item 8B, Guarantee Resolution, Valley Region Solid Waste Resource Management Authority, and Mr. Barr is here to present regarding that. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Council. This request for decision was put together by Kevin Wheaton, our financial analyst, and Mike Livingston did the presentation, but I'm going to walk you through it this evening. So just an overview of what we're here for is just the Valley Region Solid Waste Resource Management Authority, known as Valley Waste, has requested that the municipality provide a guarantee resolution in the amount of a little over $405,000, almost $406,000, which represents the municipality's share of the $553,000 worth of planned borrowing by Valley Waste for this year. So on the overview slide that you have in front of you, it outlines the exact projects that are included. You can see they total up 553, with the municipality's portion being 73.4%, for a total of 405,902. This total number of projects is less than what you would have saw in the capital budget that was approved several months ago. And speaking with Andrew Wart today, the general manager for Valley Waste, there's a number of projects on their original capital budget that they aren't planning to proceed with this fiscal year due to some scope changes, some safety modifications they want to make, things of that nature, and so they only proceeded with the request for the actual items that they think they're going to move forward with. So that's why you'd see a difference there between the two. So kind of a little background about the guarantee. So a temporary borrowing resolution is required by Municipal Affairs, DMAH, Municipal Affairs and Housing, for any borrowing that would be undertaken by Valley Waste Resource Management. In order to obtain that temporary borrowing resolution, they would need a guarantee from the municipal unit. So all of the 6 units that make up Valley Waste are required to provide their guarantees, and that accompanies the temporary borrowing resolution that would be submitted. Once there's actual approval associated with the temporary borrowing resolution, and they move forward with actually securing debenture financing, once they've undertaken the purchases, there'll be municipal guarantees that would be required as part of that as well. So again, kind of repetitive, but the MLK portion of the 553 total of the already approved budget is 405,902. From a financial implications side of it, guarantees have no impact on the municipality unless, of course, Valley Waste were to default on the debt, in which case the municipality and all the other municipal units would be responsible for their proportionate share of that debt. Guarantees are not included in the municipal financial indicators, as you know from past presentations, and there's no impact on the municipality's ability to borrow on its behalf. So quite simply, the recommendation is just that Municipal Council approve the Valley Region Solid Waste Resource Management Authority Municipal Partner Guarantee Resolution as detailed in Appendix A, attached to the request for decision dated September 5th, 2023 in the amount of $405,902.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Are there any questions of clarification, Mr. Barr? Councillor Hurtle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, we're in the midst of somewhat of a trial in the way this municipal business is organized. Is there any movement in adjusting to a reserve model so that we're not constantly taking on debt, and they would then be able to account for future cost of necessary equipment like a truck and containers in a reserve model?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Hurtle. So that has been discussed in the past by Valley Waste. I'm not familiar with any discussions that would have happened recently with the new temporary board that's in place associated with the IMSAs. I know there has been, in general, without going through a lot of detail, some opposition from other municipal units on maintaining a reserve with the IMSA corporation versus maintaining reserves within the municipal unit itself. So I don't believe there's any movement on that currently in terms of looking to transfer that. It would require, right now at this current time, reserve management by the individual municipal units as opposed to the IMSA corporation itself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Mr. DeBar? No other questions, Mr. Barr? Thank you, sir. The recommendation is that Municipal Council approve the Valley Region Solid Waste Resource Management Authority Municipal Partner Guarantee Resolution as detailed in Appendix A, attached to the request for decision dated September 5th, 2023, in the amount of $405,902. Do I have a mover of the motion, please? Moved by Councillor Harding, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. While we are waiting for the decision on that, Councillor Hurtle, I can advise that the smaller, as you've seen, we're 73% of the organization. The smaller partners to the organization choose not to have the organization collect from the municipal partners a reserve. They choose to retain and set aside that amount in their own budgets so that they can accumulate the interest on it for themselves. The result of the motion is that it's passed unanimously. Thank you. Going to item 9, then, board and committee reports. We have a report from Councillor Harding regarding Kings Point to Point. Councillor Harding, did you have anything further to add to the report?
No, it's just, well, yes. Through
Okay,
you, Mr. Mayor.
right ahead. Yeah.
No, there was a no and a yes. We had our AGM, and Kings Point to Point is struggling with a whole bunch of new items coming down the pipeline. Is new drivers, new office staff, expenses in the fuel, and so we're having a lot of growing pains right at the moment, but it's our managed CAO there is doing a great job, and hopefully we'll end the year looking a little better than we did last year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Councillor Harding on his report? Are there any other reports, verbal or otherwise, from councillors regarding committees or boards? Deputy Mayor Lutz.
Just that I have Annapolis Valley Library Board on September 21st, so any library issues you may have, feel free to send them my way. And I did not win the summer reading challenge, so sorry. Also, Landscape of Grand Pré had an event this summer sort of celebrating all of the cultures represented at Landscape, and we have a members meeting later this month on the 22nd or 21st, I believe. So any Landscape of Grand Pré issues, feel free to bring them my way.
Thank you. Any questions of the Deputy Mayor on her report? Seeing none, could I have a motion to receive the reports, please, as presented or in writing and verbally? Councillor Meisner, thank you. Councillor Davison? Seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. That's passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 10, correspondence. Could I have a motion to receive the correspondence in your package, please? Councillor Meisner moves. Deputy Mayor seconds. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. While we're waiting for the results of the vote, I can acknowledge the fact that we have received a thank you to all those, including this county, who contribute to the financial capacity of Fidelis House. A great facility, and they're very grateful for our participation. The motion is unanimously passed. Thank you. Is there, before we go and look for a motion to go into an in-camera session to discuss Section 22 matters, is there any other business to come before this meeting? Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to congratulate publicly our team in the money department, which is awesome. This is the second year in a row that Kings County has won the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. So they should be quite proud of themselves for taking it for the second year. That includes Director Barr, Katrina Rofs, I think that's how you say your name?
Yes.
And Mr. Livingston, I presume. Mr. Mike Livingston. So thank you so much for all your hard work and your dedication, and it really shows when you win twice in a row.
Thank you, Councillor, and judging from the responses in the email chain I saw today, every councillor agrees with your comments, and we're very proud of our department under Mr. Barr's leadership, and we can appropriately stick our chests out on that one. So I add my congratulatory comments. We will be, if there's no other business, we'll be looking for comments from the public. No comments from the public. I want to acknowledge our municipal advisor, Mr. Hahn, is with us today. Seems to grow a little longer each time he comes. You're very welcome, sir, anytime. No comments from the public. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting and go into closed session. No, we're not adjourning this meeting. I apologize. We may have a matter to return to open session for. So I'm just looking for a motion to go into an in-camera session for discussions. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor or otherwise, please vote no. I'll remind the public that we will be going offline to discuss contractual and other matters in camera. This motion just having been passed unanimously, and we will be returning and going back online after those discussions have taken place. for the purpose of purchasing cybersecurity-related services. Do I have a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Meisner. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All those in favor or otherwise of the motion, please vote now. For the purposes of the public, this motion arises from the fact that we have had cybersecurity experiences that lead us in this direction as an extra precaution to protect public information and private municipal information. The motion's been passed unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the meeting? No other business. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Davison. All those in favor or otherwise, please vote now. While we're waiting for the results, I hope you all had a great summer and you're all back bushy-tailed and ready to go for winter. And those who left dog sitters until 10 o'clock, take a couple of hours off. We are adjourned.
Joan's laughing as it applies to her.
It does.
Start collecting cups here.
Averaging 7.7. I was getting just going. Oh my God. That's why I got that old super crap. I'm getting like 6. Martha, before you get all packed up, I can fix your issue.